In the Spirit, the angel took me to the top of an enormous high mountain and showed me Jerusalem, the holy city. This same John, at the beginning of this book of the Apocalypse, finds himself in the Spirit on the Lord's day. We do well at the beginning of the Lord's day to be in the Spirit and not in the flesh, in the things of the Spirit and not in the things of the body. The Lord has given us an order in time, and for our own good as well as for His glory, He wishes that we be in the Spirit. One day out of 7 for the things of God, so that the things done in the body on the other 6 days will also be done in the Spirit, and not just for the immediate, for life passes, and as the Lord warns, we must work for the food that endures to eternal life. What is life if we have to function purely on the material level? And if the Sunday, the Lord's Day, is not what it is, then it's going to happen. We will be slaves to creation and not its master. Jerusalem is there, awaiting those who are called and saved. It has to be conquered. Jerusalem is not just to be presumed upon. And therefore, if we do not take seriously the retreat inbuilt in our week, in which we are totally in the Spirit, and seeing the rest of time as it is, Jerusalem will not be prepared for. We will get there and find we have to go either not there at all or to the waiting room. I had a friend who was dying, and he was talking about being in the departure lounge. Death, especially when known to be on the horizon, is a departure lounge for the flight. But we can also find ourselves in another lounge, not quite as comfortable, on the other side, if our work has not been done. And this is part of what the Lord meant for us. Preparation inbuilt for every human being, 1 day in 7 of retreat. And what are our assemblies if they are not giving us that retreat? If all we do in church is have a quick snack, a liturgical quickie, a quick fix, without sufficient time to be in the Spirit. Our assemblies are too noisy, our assemblies are too rowdy, our assemblies are too human, and we are not in the Spirit if that is all we get. It takes a while to be in the Spirit. And authentic liturgy is very different from what we've come from, in such a way that even the ordinary man can be exposed in some way to the heavenly Jerusalem while on earth. After all, the meaning of the word is vision of peace. The two roots are there. Yerach and Shalom. Yerushalayim is the vision of peace, and 1 day a week we gaze entirely towards that Jerusalem. What a difference that would make to our week and our life if we truly were in the Spirit on the day of the Lord and gave the Lord generously of what He has given us abundantly, time and quality time, time unstifled by complication, time when God is seen and not man. And then we will hear the Lord directly and also quietly in our hearts, whispering, because He is Spirit, and he's able to get through who are on that spirit level. What will he say? The Gospel talks about inhabitation. He will come to us and dwell in us on condition that we keep his word and are his friends and love him. He cannot find hospitality easily in the breast that doesn't do that. And again, what hospitality will he find if our assemblies are not tranquil? He does not like the noisy heart either. He finds consolation in the heart that is receptive, and to be receptive we cannot be deflective. We deflect when we are too much in tension, stress and noise, interior noise. In the Spirit we are other, and the Spirit can get through. And he will whisper what is not pleasing in that heart. We will hear when we prepare our Sunday with a good confession, if possible before Holy Mass, but if not, afterwards. If we prepare our hearts, we will receive quietly in a grace-filled heart a simple word which will nourish us for the week. In some cultures, the Sunday sermon is so important that it is much discussed by the Christian community. It is a talking point, an event. Why should it not be so? We need a strong word. We need something that we don't know already. And if the preacher only gives what he knows to be satisfying, the itching ears who do not want to be challenged, then they will not grow. On the contrary, they will be confirmed not in grace but in sin. And that is happening more than we like to admit. It is impossible in some places for the truth to be preached. The people don't want to hear it. That is a great victory for you know who. The Blessed Virgin herself was a quiet soul, an unruffled soul, and she received the Word incarnate in her breast. And she kept the Word heard. She kept the teaching, and she had nothing which was an obstacle to the action of the Holy Spirit. Something of that we too should have. And this month of May is a time to look at the Virgin also and to ask, what can I do to be like her in my openness? Is there something which I am disobeying in specifically? The devil is not afraid of general resolutions in retreat, but very nervous about specific ones. This bad word that I use, this bad habit that I have, this, disobedience to my beloved. Can I still maintain intimacy and have this? We cannot have our cake and eat it.